In order to keep my order of operations straight, let's always think PEMDAS. Now when I look at number 1, I have multiplication and subtraction. Multiplication happens before subtraction. So I should multiply the -5 times the 3. -5 times 3 is -15. Copy the -2. Now subtraction, we like to add the first number to the opposite of the second number. The opposite of a +2 is a -2. Now when I add two numbers that have the same sign, I add them and keep the sign. There's number 1. Some of you leave this step out, and as long as you get the correct answer leaving that step out, that's okay. Here comes number 2. Again, multiply before you subtract. 5 times -2 is -10. Then copy. When we see subtraction, we like to add the first number to the opposite of the second number. The opposite of a -1 is a +1. Now when I'm adding, but the signs are different, I subtract, take the sign off the larger number. For number 3, there's an exponent. Exponents happen before subtraction. But let's be careful. I'm going to copy the 4 and the minus, and then I've got -3 in parentheses to the second power. Let me come off over here on scrap paper. -3 to the second power means -3 times -3. When you multiply two negatives, you get a positive. But remember, that +9 comes back over here next to this minus. This should be 4 minus 9. Now when we subtract, we like to add the first number to the opposite of the second number. And when I'm adding and the signs are different, I subtract and take the sign off the larger number. Again, sometimes some of you are leaving this line out and going straight to the final answer. And that's okay. As long as you show some of the work, you might not show all of the work. I think when we are evaluating expressions, I see the most number of correct answers when you start by replacing all of the variables with a set of parentheses. Then fill in for those parentheses. In these problems, x is -2, y is 3, z is -4. I think these parentheses help to keep these negative signs and these minus signs kind of straight in my head. Now let's rewrite this problem, because we like to change subtraction to addition of the first number and the opposite of the second number. Opposite of a +3 is a -3. And we like to change subtraction to addition of the first number and the opposite of the second number. The opposite of a -4 is a +4. Now I see that these are both negatives. Let's put those together. Adding numbers with the same sign, add and keep the sign. Adding numbers with different signs, subtract, take the sign off the larger number. Got it. Again, I think when we start these problems, I see the most amount of success when you replace the variables with parentheses. Put this -4 in for z. And x is -2. But what the parentheses help me to do is to remember, as I come down here on scrap paper, to remember that I've got to multiply everything in that set of parentheses twice. That's -4 times -4. And when I multiply two negatives together, I get a positive. -4 squared is +16. Plus -2. Now when I'm adding and I have different signs, I subtract and take the sign off the larger number. Number 6 is tricky. Let me use parentheses where that x is. And then I'll plug -2 in for the x. Again, let's use a little scrap paper down here on the bottom. I'm going to copy the 5 minus, and I'll take care of -2 squared. -2 squared, since the -2 is in parentheses, that is -2 times -2. +4. But now this +4 is next to this minus, and 5 minus 4, that's 1. You all do such a good job of showing your work on equations. I like to think of the equal sign as a fence. When I'm done, I'll have x on the left side of the fence and my answer on the right side of the fence. To get x by itself, get rid of that 5. And the inverse of subtraction is addition. 19 plus 5, that's 24. Copy the 6x. Now to get x by itself, we'll divide by 6. 24 divided by 6 is 4. That looks great. Here comes number 8. Here's my fence. We're looking to get x by itself. Get rid of that 2. The inverse of addition is subtraction. Subtract 2 from both sides. Now when I'm combining numbers with the same sign, I add them and keep the sign. Finish this off by dividing by 4. And a negative divided by a positive is a negative. I like -5 for number 8. For number 9, I start by getting rid of that 1. And the inverse of addition is subtraction. 4 minus 1, that's 3. Copy the x divided by 7. Now to get x by itself, I have to get rid of the 7. The 7 and the x, they're being divided, and the inverse to division is multiplication. I should multiply both sides by 7. 3 times 7, 21. Wrap things up with number 10. The inverse of addition is subtraction. When I combine numbers with different signs, I subtract and take the sign off the larger number. Now to get x by itself, I divide by -3. And when I divide with 2 negatives, my final answer is a positive.